What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, and I'm joined by my co-host, Eric Wilson. And today we want to talk about Chris Kreider, why he needs to have a big season in 2023 if the Rangers want to make that postseason run that we've been dreaming of for the last several years. They made a run 2 years ago, Eastern Conference Finals, didn't make it through. This past year, bounced out in the first round by the Devils, a real heartbreaker. We're all pissed about it. But how do they bounce back in 2023 to 24 season with Peter Laviolette as the brand new head coach? Today, we want to discuss how Kreider is going to fit into the Lions this upcoming season, what his role will be in Peter Laviolette's system, and why he is the catalyst to success this upcoming season, why he could be the Rangers MVP. I think he is their most valuable player this year, maybe minus just Igor Shesterkin. So we're going to go ahead and dive into all that. But before we do, make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy this episode. Subscribe to the channel if you are new. Ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. And go ahead and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Fireside Rangers. But without further ado, Eric, how are you doing today, my friend? And what are your initial thoughts on Chris Kreider potentially being the Rangers MVP?
Doing good today. And when I think of Chris Kreider and what he contributes to the team, it's two things. It's his speed and scoring goals. That's pretty much like all he's done for his career with the Rangers. He's easily the fastest player on the team, and he scores a lot of goals. We have a lot of talented players on the Rangers, like Mika Zibanejad. He's probably arguably higher skilled than Kreider, but when it comes to value, I think that Kreider is just really high up there just because of the amount of goals that we know that he can score. Last season, he kind of regressed a little bit where he only played in 79 games. He had 36 goals, which is still a lot, 18 assists for 54 points. So that's not a bad stat line whatsoever. But when you just look at his highest scoring season in 2022, 81 games played, 52 goals, 25 assists for 77 points, that's really high. And, we've always said the Rangers are always consistently inconsistent, where we'll go on crazy streaks of playing really well and the chemistry is all working, and then all of a sudden we'll just go 2 weeks with getting one win. And I think on a team that's consistently inconsistent, Chris Kreider is also the most consistently inconsistent player, where he'll go on these hot streaks, scoring 2 goals a game for a month, and then all of a sudden he's just you can't even tell that he's out there on the ice. So if the Rangers really want to push through and, well, one, get into the playoffs with a very good playoff spot in a very talented metropolitan division, we're going to need everyone to be performing on full power right now. And I think Chris Kreider really needs to step up.
Yeah, so let's get kind of the elephant in the room out of the way here. He's 32 years old now, Eric, getting up there in age. Some might argue maybe he's past his prime. Some might say he's still in his prime. I think based on last season's stats, there's definitely regression. As you just mentioned, went from 52 goals down to 36, 77 total points down to 54, comparing 2022 to 2023. But when you're looking at him going into this upcoming season, do you fear that the regression could continue, or do you think that this is going to be a big bounce back year for him and he still is in his prime, and maybe last year it was more product of being stuck in a system that Gerard Gallant had in place that maybe just didn't fit Kreider's skill set the best?
See, I'm not too worried, because I think first we need to even question if it is a regression that he had right there, because like I said, is Chris Kreider, his point totals throughout his career have just been all over the place. He's been on the team for pretty, I think exactly 10 years now. Started in the 2012-2013 season. He only played in 23 games, only had 3 points, so I don't really count that one. But just throughout his career, his point totals went from 37 to 46 to 43 to 53 to 37 to 52 and so on. Just up and down, back and forth throughout his entire career. So it's yeah, sure, his point totals went down a little bit this season, but if history were to repeat itself, they'd shoot right back up this season. So I don't know if I would call it a regression just yet, especially when you consider that 2022 was definitely a career year from Kreider. 77 points, high and away his highest point totals that he's ever had, 52 goals. Hitting 50 in the NHL is a very rare thing. There's only around 5 to 10 guys in the entire league who hit a number like that. So I think just when we say we're going to need a very good year out of Chris Kreider, I would say, at least 60 points, maybe 40 goals is a good expectation of what we really need from him. And I think just based on his stats, 36 goals last season came pretty close. especially on a team, like you said, where the system wasn't perfect. We're going into a new system, and he's going to be playing with Zibanejad again. They have some great chemistry. But Capo Caco on the right wing, that might be like the X factor right there to see if Caco breaks out and starts to put up points as well. That's also going to mean more goals and points for Kreider.
Yeah, and when we're talking about how to maximize in the system, we just mentioned Gerard Gallant's system maybe not the best for Kreider's skill set. Not last year, at least 2 years ago, it certainly looked that way, but last year it didn't appear that way. But going into this Laviolette system, what do you think of potentially moving Chris Kreider's line around? So here's an article that I saw on Fansided that pitched an idea for the Rangers to make the case for a Kreider, Trocheck, Wheeler line, which then I think would assume he'd be moving down onto the second line, Panarin up onto the first. So then you would have Panarin, Zibanejad, Kakko, Kreider, Trocheck, Wheeler. Want to know what you think about that, moving Kreider down to line 2 to play alongside Vincent Trocheck.
I'm honestly not the biggest fan of those lines. Like there's nothing wrong with Vincent Trocheck. He's a very talented center, and he's definitely just like only reason that he's on the second line is because Zibanejad is just that good. But Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad have been playing alongside of each other pretty much Zibanejad's entire time with the Rangers. We just came up on the anniversary of us trading for Zibanejad recently. We're coming, I think it was like 6 or 7 years now that we've had Zibanejad, and Kreider and him have just been like this building chemistry that entire time. And they play really well together. And I think that if they were to be split up, not to say that like it would be like bad for them, but I definitely think it wouldn't benefit to take them apart. They know how to play alongside of each other. Like I said, Chris Kreider, he's always like the fast player, just darting towards the net, looking for like a tip in or something like that on a breakaway. And Zibanejad's always been that guy to get that pass over to him. So it's like, sure, I'm sure he would play very well alongside Vincent Trocheck, but like, if it's perfect, why would we change it type of thing,
Yeah, if it's not broke, don't fix it. I agree with you on this one. I think that breaking up Kreider and Zibanejad doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, in my opinion. I think just the key here is can Capo Caco rise to the occasion playing alongside Kreider and Zibanejad. That's going to be the big storyline. And of course, something that we are going to be diving back into on the channel soon, talking about Capo Caco, why we think he's a breakout candidate, but still maintaining our conversation here about Chris Kreider. One of the things that I do really think he has going for him this upcoming season is the addition of Peter Laviolette as head coach, because all of the reading and research that I've done on Laviolette, there's one thing that stands out. He's really good at maintaining star power. He's very good at managing veteran players, superstars on different teams. And I think that's something where Kreider, Zibanejad as well, especially Panarin, they're all really going to benefit from having Peter Laviolette here, because it seems like everywhere he goes, the stars thrive and the locker room gets maintained well. Nobody has any turmoil with the coach like we saw towards the end of the Rangers postseason this past year. So how are you feeling about Laviolette and the way that he can come in here and kind of manage these stars and really allow these stars to shine even brighter?
Yeah, I think Kreider, out of pretty much all of the forwards, is going to need the most managing coming from Laviolette, where, like I've mentioned a couple times, Kreider is super, super inconsistent. He has these hot streaks and these cold streaks that it just goes through the entire season. And, the 2022 season where he had 52 goals and 77 points, that is the perfect example of a season from Chris Kreider where he plays consistently the entire time. I remember watching that entire season. He rarely went like more than 2 or 3 games without putting up a point. Unlike last season where he had a couple of these cold streaks, only ended up with 54 points. So to have a coach like Laviolette, who when Kreider is going to start to slow down and not really produce, is going to step in and just like snap back into it, get back out there and keep playing, that might be exactly what we need. Because then if Kreider, despite his old age, just continues to play at an elite level, he might even be able to surpass those 77 points and put up even new higher stat totals compared to Gerard Gallant, who, when players weren't really doing what they're supposed to be doing, he kind of was just like very lenient about it and was like, they'll fix it on their own. So just to have more of like a hands-on coach who's going to just like take these problems and fix it himself, I think that's pretty much exactly what Chris Kreider needs.
I think that's really well said. I think that's a perfect way to put it. Having a more hands-on coach who's going to make the team practice hard, but also be really involved and not let everything just be so free-flowing and up to the players. I do think that is really important. And that's one of the reasons that I am so excited about Peter Laviolette. I think, having a bit more structure for these guys would be really beneficial because we had all the star power in the world going into the last playoffs. We brought in Tarasenko, we brought in Kane, and of course still had Kreiders, Advantage, Panarin, everybody on those lines. The lines on paper were just stacked. But once we got to the postseason, it all fell apart. And I do think a lot of that had to do with the coaching style, the managing style of Gerard Gallant, and not placing enough structure on this team. And I think that that's something that they really need going into the season. So Laviolette, the more we talk about him, the more we read about him, the more I feel like he was the right man for the job. They made the right decision in hiring Laviolette. So hopefully we're right about that, and he does manage this team, bring that structure, and allow these star players to really excel this upcoming season. So we're excited for that, and of course we're excited to update you on everything New York Rangers right here on Fireside Rangers. So if you did enjoy this video, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new, ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and comment your thoughts on the topic down below in the comment section. Make sure you go follow us on Instagram and Twitter at Fireside Rangers. Without further ado, we will catch you all in the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.